Well, it is time for another model video because after I released my North Carolina prediction based on the voter model, I got so much flack from the election mafia that I have to make a video on this because this is getting ridiculous, and I have to explain this model in detail because some of these idiots are like, you have a biased model that is against the Republicans, or Democrats I should say, and you should not be taken seriously. And again, I said the margin of error could be as high as 200,000 votes, right? It's possible. I'm not saying that's going to happen. My model is basically projecting vote share. That's kind of hard to do, alright? But I'm going to explain this video how this model works and looking at the past, how well it's fared in predicting elections, alright? So, what this model takes is it combines two things: party registration and voting data, right? How many total votes did X candidate get from X party, alright? And this model is actually pretty good. It's actually a very good model when you look deep into it, alright? So, we're going to start, alright, with the Republican model. And what this model does is it combines two things, right? Party registration for the Republicans and unaffiliated voters, right? People that aren't registered to Republicans or Democrats. It combines the two. Then it takes the past election results, right? Raw total votes, and makes a linear regression. I love linear regressions, or whatever you want to call them. I'm no math expert, but they're very simple. You can Google it. It's not so bad. And yeah. So this is the linear regression. You notice the dots there. This is what the actual election results were. This line is what the projected election results was. And you notice for Republicans, it's been fairly good. And its biggest outlier, right, was this one. I believe this was 2008, alright? And this oversampled Republicans, right? See here, by around 20,000 votes, 25,000 votes. Oversampled it by only that much. Still pretty freaking good, alright? The rest, they, well, undersampled Democrats, alright? The other two elections, Republicans I should say. And then you see this election right here. You remember in the last video how there's a huge outlier from Arizona. That was the orange man in Trump. Look at this model. Spot on with the actual vote share. Alright? I can actually click it. Whoops, I'm gonna just get closer. So it projected Trump actually got 2.36 million votes in North Carolina. The model projected he was going to get around 2.36 million votes. That's perfect. It's off by like 100 votes or so. That is spot on, right? And when you count this, this model has been basically spot on for the Republican side, alright? And I'm going to get into later detail the other stuff, right? But in a nutshell, this is very good. One mishap, and that was 2008, and we won't get in that election. That's the biggest outlier election, alright, in history. But you get the point. This is a fairly accurate model, Republican-wise. Democrat-wise, other than one massive outlier, we'll get into a little bit, oversampled Democrats 3 out of 4 times. Alright? And it's been pretty spot on. Just off by, the average margin of error was, scrolling up a little bit, was around 40,000 votes, 50,000 votes, which isn't terrible, right? Most of these were pretty still spot on, again, 70,000 votes, 70,000 votes, that's basically the average, but still pretty good. They oversampled Democrats by that much usually. But then you get this one right here. Take a guess who this one is. Hillary Clinton. She basically said F the trends and, well, completely oversampled what she was supposed to do. She was supposed to only get around 2 million votes, and she got 2.1 million votes. So off by around 160,000 votes. But the rest of the time, it's been spot on pretty much. Just off by, 60,000 votes, 70,000 votes, say, oversample Democrats. So this is actually a pretty good model, right? Other than one big outlier, right? I predicted that the biggest outlier you possibly could get, or I should say margin of error, is 175,000, 200,000 total. Now, let us actually compare the voter registration now, alright? Because I want to show you guys that I'm not BSing anybody. So this is the voter registration data from North Carolina. It's 10/17/2020, alright? I may update this again if they update the website, but essentially, I just look at this. This is the Democrat total, alright? How many registered Democrats are there? There's around 2.6 million, alright? We'll round up, alright? To help the Democrats, actually. So 2.6 million, alright? You actually gotta go down. That's why I'm saying that's not good. 2.6 million. You look, and around 1.84 million votes, alright? I believe this was off by a little bit by the Twitter model. I can't remember exactly, but essentially 1.84 million votes expected for Biden. And remember, the model has been oversampling Democrats, and one big outlier, the rest has been perfect. Alright? So this is a pretty good model when you actually take a deep dive into it. Now for the Republicans. What you have to do is simple. Combine this right here, Republicans, with unaffiliated voters, alright? And when you do the math, it's around 4.63 million voters. So let's say 4.6 million. Alright? 4.6 million. Alright, you get out here, roughly around 2.49 million votes for Donald Trump. And Republican model has been basically spot on. Right? And this is huge. This is why I'm telling people voter registration does matter by party. It absolutely does. Other than like Kentucky and stuff, but states like North Carolina, it's massive, alright? And again, you could say, oh, that one big outlier. Well, even if it's a 300,000 vote margin of error, still not enough. You need basically a 600,000 vote error, pretty much, essentially. But again, that's basically impossible, alright? And guess what? This model has correctly predicted the winner of North Carolina every single time. That's pretty good. So, yes, that is the model video. This was a quicker video-ish. I wanted to explain this video to you guys so you can know how I actually make my models and stuff, how it's actually done in North Carolina. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, hit the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit the little bell, and we will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.